Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and today we are going to be looking at John Hot Rod's latest mod project. Now, this absolutely gorgeous truck that you see in front of us right now, which is also, by the way, extremely flexible on the crawler suspension. I've decided to go ahead and show it to you guys like this first, because before we customize it, I just wanted to show you guys kind of a little bit of an idea of what you can do when you let your imagination run wild with the customization of this truck. Now, the actual name for it, as you can see, we're on TNB Trails today, the actual name for this truck is the 72 Fleetside Classic, and it is a fully console-friendly rig. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire it up, drive it into the garage, we're going to kind of redo the customization on this one a little bit, and then we might actually haul it out to maybe a trail, maybe kind of a little bit of an off-roading area. We'll see. But you definitely don't have to haul it places. I mean, if you wanted to turn it into a dedicated crawler and haul it places, you could. But at the end of the day, it really is designed to be able to go wherever you might want it to, especially with that overland rack. Now, this mod retains the quality that you have come to expect from John Hot Rod's mods. I mean, the texturing, the tuning, the tire selection, the add-ons for it, all of those things are retained here. Also, the interior view. The interior view looks awesome. Now, engines-wise, we have the Grocery Getter spec 556 horsepower. This is personally my favorite sort of middle-of-the-road, I wouldn't say middle-of-the-road, but upper middle-of-the-road spec engine that John offers in his vehicles. You also have the stockish spec if you want a little bit more of a vanilla dedicated experience. Then you have the TrailRunner supercharged 808 horsepower, which is going to be your pretty much top of the line. And then you have the vanilla spec V8, which is based on the stock F750 tune. Now, if you want to use this thing in a campaign scenario and you are absolutely dedicated to preserving the game balance, like that, if that is your ultimate goal, then this is going to be the engine for you. He literally included this so that people can make this as vanilla as possible if that's the direction they want to go with it. Now, gearbox wise, we currently, in this thing, we're running the TrailRunner spec 6-speed, but you also have the low and slow crawler transmission, the stockish 6-speed, the tow and haul 10-speed, and the vanilla 6-speed, once again, based around the stock F750 tuning, if you are looking for that very vanilla game dedicated experience out of this truck. Now, suspension-wise, you have the King of the Hammers suspension, you have the stockish, which we have tires that are too big for that, we have the stockish lifted, and then we have the stockish tow and haul, or I should say lifted tow and haul destructible, and then standard tow and haul. We also have the Mini Max crawler spec, and the interesting thing about this one is if you want the flex, but you also want a lower center of gravity and you might want to run a smaller tire, you can go with this particular setup. Then you also have the Max crawler spec, which is basically the same amount of flex, but more lift. And then you have the standard TrailRunner spec, which is basically an all-round suspension setup. Now, tires-wise, you can start out on a set of 35s, and the 35s really do look tiny on this particular suspension, but the 35s carry on until you get really actually only 2 in 35, and then everything else goes up to a 36, like for example the Troubadour Runner, the Rocker Runner, let's see, the Mud Runner Terrain, the Thorn Runner, which we all know what these tires are, we know what these tire compounds are, but it's interesting to see how he's reworked the names to obviously make them console friendly. Now, after the 36s, you go up to a 39 Baja 1000 runner, then it switches to 41s, and then you also have a couple of tires that go back down to a 40, and then it goes up to a 43, 45, 44, kind of in that general area. We're currently running a 45 Mud Runner Terrain, which is a BFG KM3 modeled compound. Then we have the 46 Thorn Runner and well, I guess you could say IROC, but this is more like Rock, I guess, is how you would pronounce it. Then you have finally the X-Runner Terrain, and then you have your mud tire category, which you guys can recognize a lot of the tires in here. A lot of these are Super Swamper-based, Bogger-based, and those will also go up to a 45. Then finally, you have these diffused tires, which are going to be your snow and ice tire, as they have an excellent ice rating. Now, the TrailRunner spec 12-volt winch is definitely going to be my personal pick, but you can also go with a vanilla winch if you do prefer that style of gameplay. Diff lock is staying on, invisible snorkel is staying on, and then you have a full lineup of bumpers and trail protection. Now, currently I have the overland rack in the back, but for this video I might switch it over to the TrailRunner cage with the LED lights. And then, let's see, Desert Runner front bumper is really cool, but I personally prefer the Pre-Runner bumper. We've also got the rear tube bumper and the SnowRunner rock sliders. Now, body-wise, we have the bed-mounted radiator, which we can do. We don't have it right now, but I think for this particular build, I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there. And then we have the back... Oh, wait, let's see. Black side molding, which can go on the doors if you so desire that. And then, let's see, stock rear bumper, which we definitely don't need. Now, this is where you're going to find all of your towing and hauling add-ons, like the gooseneck hitch, the weighted gooseneck hitch, shorty tow hitch, weighted shorty tow hitch. All of that good stuff is going to be found in the tow and haul category. And then tire carriers. Now, tire carriers are pretty much a carryover from all of John Hot Rod's other mods. And these, of course, have been reworked to fit with this one exactly. But we're going to go with the Muddy Runner terrain, and because that's basically a direct match to what we have right now. And then this is where it gets really interesting, and he's been doing this for a couple of his other vehicles, but this one in particular, I think it really brings out a lot of the character of the rig. So you have, what we have right now is the, let's see, the 67 to 68 front grille, but you can also go with a 67 to 68 hood, and I don't know, I kind of like to mix and match the hoods, but you can also go with a 71 to 72 front grille to combine, of course, with your 71 to 72 hood. So let's go with, I think I'm going to stick with the 67 to 68 front grille, and we'll switch it out to the 67 to 68 hood for now. Now, let's see. The roll cage is already in there. The 4-point harnesses are already in there, and, well, you could swap them out to basic lap belts if you want to, but I think I'll leave the harnesses in there for now. And the lineup of wheels is absolutely tremendous. I mean, you have so many different wheel styles to choose from that my biggest problem whenever I build one of John Hot Rod's rigs is deciding on a set of wheels. Because all of them are so incredibly gorgeous. I especially love these Turbomac HD beadlocks. But they're all so incredibly well done. They're so incredibly gorgeous. I also love how you can see the red calipers behind the wheels. I think that's a really nice touch. And the more you go through these wheels, the more you realize how incredible they all look. I think I'm going to go with the Baker beadlocks on this one. And then now once you get to the color selection, I mean, you really can go completely nuts with these colors. I do love this faded weathered red with white. I think that's a really nice color combo. But you can also have it very clean, very shiny, very fresh. Basically looks like it just left a paint shop. And the further down you go, I believe that you can also do solid colors. Yep, you can go fully solid on the color, or you could do the two-tone, and then down here, you have a full lineup of weathered two-tone colors, and I believe you also have, solid weathered colors as well. So really, the sky is the limit pretty much when it comes to customizing this particular truck, and you can get pretty much any color combination out of it that you could ever want. And I really do sincerely mean that. Like, almost any color combination that you can think of, you can have when you build this thing. Now, I'm going back and forth between a couple of different ideas right now. I really like this weathered red with white, and we've already got beams on the dash, and now we're going to go ahead and leave the garage and see what it's like to drive. And oh my god, I love it with that kind of pre-runner style bed cage and the rear-mounted radiator. And we'll go ahead and set this guy just about in the middle of the trailer, and we are good to go. It's a little bit towards the back, but it's no big deal. Now, the Dodge that you guys are seeing on screen right now, this is Rebel TRX 01's currently work-in-progress private Ram. However, there have been talks about whether or not there might be a console-friendly version later on down the line, but make sure you stay tuned to the channel for any further info about that. So let's go ahead and pack that thing up now, and let's go ahead and get out of the garage. I do love driving this thing. This thing looks so good, especially with, like, a proper trailer setup behind it. Although, I do have to go ahead and... let me see. Activate that. Yeah, there we go. Now, it is definitely meant to be used with a weighted front bumper, although, I'm going to be completely honest here, I did not think it was going to need it for just one vehicle. But it seems as though that was not the case. It seems that I should have gone for the weighted bumper, and really, it only ever freaks out when I'm getting off the line, so it's really not that big of a deal as long as I keep up my momentum. My only concern is that when I get to a hill, it might get a little bit iffy, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Insert us getting to a hill, and then me going, if it isn't the bridge I said I'd cross when I got to it. What do you know? Alright, let's make our way up this hill. Throwing it in high. Oh, man. Oh, God. Alright, I didn't have the torque for that. It would have had the torque for it easily if I had stayed in the throttle, but no, I had to back out of it, didn't I? Oh my god, what a good-looking setup, though. That setup, like, is just so gorgeous. So freaking gorgeous, bro. I love the way that entire setup looks. Alright, so let's go ahead and get you out to the trail. Can you imagine, like, showing up to a freaking trail day with a rig set up like this? I mean, a fully built, not only the built rig that we have on the trailer, but the tow rig. The freaking tow rig is on a totally different level. I mean, it really, truly is a totally different level of Send It with, like, a tow rig and crawler combo like this. And I know that this thing technically could drive down the road to get to the trails, but sometimes it's fun to tow your rigs out there. It's also nice to have a support rig from time to time. Ooh, that's where that weighted bumper would have definitely come in handy. You can see it torquing that front axle up off the ground. Sheesh. Let's make our way around this corner. Although I gotta admit that without the weighted bumper, it is doing a really good job of keeping that front axle on the ground. It's doing a lot better of a job than I thought it was gonna do, for sure. And I think, you know, thinking back about it, I was like, it's probably going to be super sketchy. And it's actually not as sketchy as I thought it was going to be. It's really, truly not as sketchy as I thought it was going to be. Oh my god, though. Like, that entire setup is just absolutely gorgeous. I love how that setup looks. The whole thing, there's like, woo, okay, all right. Apparently stopping going down the hill is a, stopping is a point of contention. Let's just say that right now. Stopping is definitely, stopping when the truck is pointing uphill, point of contention for sure. God, it's so pretty, though. All right, we're going to go ahead and throw the ramps down, stop the engine, and we've got our parking brake on, so we're good there. And we can unpack that thing and swap over to it, fire it up, and, oh yeah, we've got plenty of room to get around the trailer and get up the trail. All right, lovely. Got to do a little bit of a mini flex on the trailer. I mean, you have to. You're right there. You've got to. Now, for those of you that are curious, the map that we are on right now is TNB Trails, and the cool thing about TNB Trails is if you like rock crawling, you can literally be at a proper rock crawling trail like this one within, less than 1 minute of leaving the garage, maybe a little bit more than 1 minute, but the drive to get there is so scenic that you won't even notice that you're on your way there. I mean, and you'll be right in the middle of the challenge right off the bat. And speaking of being right in the middle of the challenge, this thing absolutely rises to said challenge with flying colors. Look at that suspension flex. Not only the flex, but the amount of droop that the suspension has as well. The down travel is one of the most important parts. And you can definitely tell that John Hot Rod has really been refining his suspension tuning the more he works on every new vehicle. Not to say that the suspension tuning was bad before, because it was amazing before, but I think everything that he releases gets smoother and more realistic feeling with each vehicle. And I also think that this particular engine that we have in here right now does a really good job of making it feel like you have just enough power to get up and over whatever might be in your way, but you also don't necessarily feel like you have, so much power that there's no challenge. Now, obviously, that's completely up to your personal preferences, but oh my god, this trail's beautiful. It's so gorgeous, and like the views from out here, oh, this map will literally, in my opinion, it'll go down in history as one of the best rock crawling maps ever created for this game, because it's so incredibly detailed. I mean, the detail is just on a level that very few maps have been able to replicate before, and the crazy thing is that if you want let's say you wanted a desert version of this map, you basically have it. It's called Desert Trails, and it's also out there on both PC and console. Now, this spot right here is a spot that tends to get vehicles in a bind, but not this thing. I mean, the short wheelbase definitely helps with that, but the sure-footedness also really helps it get everything down onto the ground where it needs to be. Let's give it a little bit of extra power to pop it up that rock, and then after that, you are good to go. You could spend hours just trail riding in this thing, and the crazy part about it, once again, is the fact that you can do a fully dedicated trail riding setup like we have right now, trail riding, rock crawling, what have you, or you could build this as basically an equivalent to, or I should say a performance equivalent to a vanilla F750 and use it in your campaign as if it was a default vehicle. That is mind-blowing to me that a vehicle like this stretches across so many different levels of the game. It's absolutely incredible. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.